It's important to remember that the Bureau of Prisons is really an aggravated bureaucracy with a lot of minions that work in there trying to block people's access to anything to the outside. That's why it's important to know where to find the authority. So this is the Code of Federal Regulations, which is the law that governs agencies like the Bureau of Prisons. And in every law library, there is this book, and I would recommend anybody that's going in there for a lengthy period of time to read the Code of Federal Regulations, particularly Title 28, Section 5, which subpart C, Part 540, which is the section, or it's actually Part 500, which is the section that governs the entire Bureau of Prisons. This particular statute is Section 540.103, which says inmate telephone calls to attorneys. The warden may not apply frequency limitations to inmate telephone calls to attorneys when the inmate demonstrates that communication with attorneys by correspondence, visiting, or normal telephone use is not adequate. And this is still current as of today. But the reason it's so important is because there are limitations to how much time a person can spend on the phone in the Bureau of Prisons. Besides that, there is monitoring of the amount of time that somebody can spend on the phone in the Bureau of Prisons. I have worked with many people, including myself. I did this while I was in prison, is if you have a relationship with an attorney, the attorney can pursue this path of coordinating regular telephone calls. To do so, a person must know how to do it. And that would require, so if I go to www.bop.gov, you will see in this section here of the website, under list of our facilities, all of these facilities have a contact person. This is Otisville. And this is the executive assistant. The executive assistant, for those of you who don't know, is the only person besides the warden that has the authority to interact with the media, and is also the one that would coordinate legal calls. There's also a general counsel in every prison, but not every prison has the general counsel's email address. We can find it. It takes a little bit more time, but this is public. So anybody can write to the OTV, that stands for Otisville-Executive Assistant S at BOP.gov. And you would say, my name is Jim Stevens. I'm a licensed attorney in the state of California. My bar number is blank, 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 blank. I need to speak with my client in consistent with Title 28 CFR Section 540.102 to coordinate a legal visit. My client has a very complicated legal case. We are pursuing legal strategies. And to accommodate that, I will need to speak with my client at least weekly. And I want to coordinate a pathway to receive those calls, because these calls have to be monitored. They're not done on a regular phone call. They are done by setting up an appointment for the staff member to take the person into like a private room, and the person is there by himself. So it would be a counselor who's calling the lawyer. The lawyer would say, "This is Counselor Mickleberry from the federal prison in Otisville, and I'm calling on behalf of inmate John Stevens." And then I'm going to put him on. And then they pass you the phone, and she walks out. So you get to have an unmonitored telephone call on a regular telephone line, and that does not count against the 500-minute limitation of phones. So I encourage everybody to learn the Code of Federal Regulations. This particular video is on attorney calls.